What's up, guys? We are in the shop here at NS Builders, and a bunch of you guys have reached out asking us about how we build our doors or why we're building our doors. A couple reasons being that, sometimes we have insane schedules that I hold Ken to, and secondly, a bunch of times we've had doors that we've waited 2+ weeks for, only for them to come in on the crate. The crate was damaged, or we open them up, the doors were damaged, and some of them, I swear, were never glued. So Ken made the decision, and came to me and said, how about we just control everything? We're gonna build them in the shop, which I loved, and we're gonna talk about a few key details that we're hitting now. Some of you guys have commented that it's overkill, but for us, it's peace of mind. So basically what we start with, step one, is we're bringing in rough sawn soft maple. From there, we're milling it down to a heavy 3/4, just under maybe 13/16, to get a little bit more meat on our rail and style. We're talking about a flat panel shaker door with a beaded edge. And then we're taking an MDF panel and paint grade. MDF panel, 3/8 thickness, and we're using, I actually have it here, a white side number 5850 raised panel back cutter. So rather than using a 1/4 inch piece of MDF as our flat panel, where you're gonna get some movement out of it, it's gonna be kind of flexible if you push on it, especially if you build a large door, it's not gonna feel as, dense, flimsy. So the 3/8 allows us to do that. And then that back panel, that cutter is putting this basically profile on the back, so your thickness is going backwards versus a raised panel where this would traditionally be forward facing, so you'd have that detail. So we're gonna walk through, so basically, once the stuff's milled up, walk us through our process from there.
All right, so once I have it milled and I have it cut to size, to leave everything a little bit proud, I will cut my doors to the full size that they are going in. Just for an example, on the face frame.
So I give you a 12 by 20 opening in my face frame.
I'm making my door 12 by 20.
Okay.
So I'll do my calculations so that the door is that size. I also leave my rails and stiles a 1/16 proud, so that when I'm done assembling, I can go ahead and trim the door and square it up, and I don't lose any width off of my rail and stile, and I can still have that consistent 3/32 gap between doors and the face frames.
And that extra 1/16 on that material is allowing you to do that, so you can fit it totally to the opening if it's out of square or anything.
Without sacrificing any meat off of our rail and stile.
Perfect.
So after that, I'll head over to our router table here, and I start with the rails, and I hit the end grains on the rails first. The reason I do that is any tear out that might happen from there, I'm able to go back and clean up when I do the long side.
Gotcha.
So I run all my rails first on the ends, switch over, and then run all my long sides on both the stiles and the rails.
So we're using, it's basically a rotor bit kit where you have a male and female side. So your male side is going to be your long edge, where your female side is going to be your short edge. So you're going to do obviously all your doors female side first or short side first, switch the bit, and now you're running all your long stuff. So that's usually where it stops. That's where you make your cope and stick joint, you glue the cope and stick, but we're going a step further here just for our peace of mind and for strength. And what's that? We
add a 6mm domino to both the rail and the stile, obviously. Gives us a little bit more area for glue up, a little bit more surface contact, as well as having a tenon run all the way through our joint.
And that's a tight fit. We're not doing anything loose fit, everything's tight fit. That way, when everything's assembled, it's where it needs to be, and there's no slop or adjustment later.
Exactly.
So now we're assembling the face frame. We have a domino at each connection. We're going to be installing the panel, kind of in process, but we're using these. They're called space balls. So they're basically rubber balls that keep the panel a compressed 3/16 away from the inside of that dado slot. And that's for the expansion contraction. The panels aren't, this is important to note, is your panels don't get glued up within the rail and stile. You want that panel to float free and have the ability to move around. That's gonna help with durability and stuff not expanding and contracting differently.
Right. As well as keeping the panel centered in between the frames.
Right. Here, it's not as important with the flat panel, but if in a situation where we had a raised front panel, it would be super important. So we glue everything up. with the exception of the panel gets these space balls on all four sides. You throw this in the clamps, make sure everything's square, which it should be, because with the tenons and everything, that's super helpful. Yep. Put it in the clamp rack, or clamps behind us, and let that dry until the glue dries. Yep. And then, since we don't have a time saver or a belt sander, then how are we dressing these things up?
So once it comes out of the clamps, we're hitting it with a Rotex to do some of the heavy work, and then we're going back with one of the ETSs and doing the fine finish sanding.
Perfect. Prep for paint, and then it's off to the paint shop.
So the panels are pre-sanded. You know, we'll sand the panels before they go in, as well as our details here.
Makes it a lot easier.
Makes it a lot easier on the end, yep.
Right. So I have a finished door, not sanded yet, but you can see our beaded detail, our panel set back, and then you can see back here that this panel is basically planar with the rail and style. So hopefully this helps. We want to share our process, and I know we're going to only become more efficient as we gain more equipment. Let us know if you have questions. Stay tuned for a future episode where I take one of these doors and smash it on the edge of a table. We're also going to do one without the dominoes, just to show the strength difference. And please, if you guys could subscribe and let us know what you like and dislike about the videos, and make sure you're following along on Instagram @NSBuilders, and for this dude over here @KenDeCoste.